Thanks for joining me, everyone. Forge from Iron, I'm Gatesy, and I'd like to introduce my friend, my colleague, my wingman, Mr. Duke Stribling. Mr. Duke, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm living the dream based on your introduction there. I mean, wow.
I didn't give you the... Did you want the Michael Buffer? I'd probably let you down.
No, you know what? Listen. I don't need the Michael Buffer. That was good enough for me. You know what? Your partner in crime and your wingman. So, am I Goose and you're Maverick, or are you Goose and I'm Maverick? How are we?
I was thinking more sort of Morecambe and Wise.
But I'll tell you what. Screw that. Let's go Cannonball. That'll do. Listen, I'll work with that.
No, I'll tell you what, though, guys, any of you guys that are watching, it gets better than that because we've actually got a third member. You know how there was always Moore, Hurst, and Peters? Well, today it's Gatesy, Duke, and the Canadian whirlwind.
Yo, I'm like the third wheel, dog. How do you mean? I'm like Hurst coming back after the World Cup, dog.
No.
Brand new.
Listen. The third wheel, no. Listen, you're the most important part of this. Don't you worry about that. I just sit here pressing buttons and all that sort of nonsense. You two can sort of like do the rabbiting, and I'm just going to sit here and agree with you.
Hold on, Gatesy. What are you pressing? You
don't want to know. You don't want to know what I'm pressing. You don't want to know. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you when we finish recording. I'll send you some messages and photos and all that, and you'll soon find out.
I don't want to see them photos, dog. No.
You asked. Don't ask.
I take it back.
If you're going to send pictures, Casey, I need to fill this up first. All right, so let's leave it alone.
Well, you almost filled up 4 bottles, didn't you? We sort of discussed this earlier on WhatsApp, but viewers don't need to know this.
No, I couldn't leave the game.
All right, so on to business. So West Ham rocked up at Stadium, and we had a very, very creditable performance in my book. We came away with a 2-1 reverse. However, I did on the live stream. We did Thursday, I think it was. And I actually said, did I not? It was 2. And I said what I was looking for was a performance where we was dogged, determined, courageous, organised.
Yeah,
blah, blah, blah. All of the things you want to see from a West Ham team. I believe we got it. Now, you guys may not. So tell me your thoughts, gentlemen.
Duke, you first, my friend. You first.
Okay, cheers, Pete. Well, listen, I mean, obviously, I was on Twitter during the game through the Forge from Iron Twitter page, and going through everything that was obviously shared. I was on the live event that they do for the Premier League games on Twitter. So via the hashtags MCI versus WHU. And a lot that came back at the end of the game, for me anyway, and I'll cut just to the end of the game, was more a case of I didn't know how to feel. And a lot of people felt the same on Twitter. So you kind of got this feeling where we've gone up there, and let's be honest, as honest as we can be, how many of us were expecting to come away with anything? And I mean a point. How many of us were coming away?
I think it was more
with our dignity intact.
Yeah, I think hope. It was more hope than expectation.
Listen, I wasn't even expecting to come back with our dignity intact. As I said in the chat with you boys the other night, the only thing I asked that didn't happen was that we got played off the park and it was a 4-0 and the heads drop and we walk out of the Etihad with zero confidence. We go into the game next Monday with nothing and we look lost. That was my only concern. I didn't want this defeat to breed a lack of confidence. I wanted to come out of this game with our heads held high. And the fact I've come out of this game, and you guys might feel the same, is I've come out of this game feeling a real mixed bag of emotions. Like we've lost, and I feel a bit dejected because we've lost. Now I understand we've lost to City, and City have won 20 games on the trot, and they've scored now I think 48 goals, 49 goals in 20 games, and we're the only 7th goal they've conceded in 20 games, and we're the first goal they've conceded in 20 hours of football, whatever it, however it works. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of our performance. I think we put in a game where every single player in that West Ham team left everything on the pitch. And we'll come back to certain disappointing performances from a couple of players, in my opinion, and yours as well, and I know that.
Yeah.
But they left everything on the pitch. They gave their all. We lost 2-1 to the champions-elect. We expected that it was going to be an incredibly difficult game. In my opinion, it wasn't as difficult as any of us thought it was going to be. We played some bloody good football. I come away from that feeling proud and disappointed that we didn't pick anything up. But along that 90-minute journey that we faced this afternoon, we picked up so many more plaudits from other teams' fans that kind of confirmed to me the kind of season we're having. When you've got Chelsea fans praying that Manchester City beat West Ham, so they have a chance for 4th. When you've got Liverpool fans praying that Manchester City beat West Ham, so they've got a chance at 4th. When you've got United and Leicester fans praying that City win, so we fall further away from those two teams, but also hope that West Ham win, so they've got a chance of getting closer to City. It shows where we are. When you've got Palace fans tweeting and going, Christ, this West Ham team aren't bad, are they, boys? Look at this. They're going up there. Okay, yeah, we parked the bus to a certain degree, but Christ, did we play out from the back and try and get forward?
I think, to be fair, Duke, I don't think against City there's much else that most teams can do apart from park the bus. Because to be quite frank, if we'd have tried to stand, it's different to when we played Spurs last week, right? And I turned around and said, meet them in the middle of the ring, okay? Different set of circumstances when you come across a team like City. If you want to go toe-to-toe with City, they will tear you a new one. We'd have probably lost 5-0.
Yeah, I mean,
they're playing by a different set of rules. They're bankrolled, as I said in the pre-show. And I'm going to keep this clean. They are bankrolled by oil-rich royal family from the Middle East with billions and billions that they can spend on the best coaching staff, on the best training facilities, on the best players. We are owned by a couple of old men who earn their money slightly differently.
From the pornography. From the pornography industry.
The adult industry. Right? Yeah. The adult industry.
I'm going in. Sex toys. I don't care.
Do it. Yeah.
I don't care. Listen, let's not mess around. When the fact that was it Sporting Lisbon? Was it Sporting Lisbon?
What about them? Oh, we upset them with the William Carvalho.
Yeah. He was the one that came out to the press and coined them the dildo twins. Let's not mess around, right? It's not a fan. It's not a fan that gave them that nickname. It was another chairman and club owner.
Can I just say, if there are any children watching and you don't know what that thing that Duke just said, don't even go there. Don't go running.
Google is your friend.
But it's the truth. It's the truth.
Now Listen, I'm going to bring Peach in because Peach, I don't want your battery to die and you not get at least an opportunity to say your take.
If my battery dies, my battery lies, my battery fries, and I always keep crying.
So
let me tell you,
can I just ask one question before we bring Peach in? Peach, do you reckon one day we can do this from home and we get Daddy Peach on?
Come again, sorry?
Can we get Daddy Peach on?
Oh, right.
Do you reckon he'll do a video?
Listen, man. Me and my father watched the match this morning because it was 12 o'clock. No, 12:30 kickoff for y'all. So it was like 7:30 kickoff in the morning for us. Me and Daddy Peach watched the match. And you know what? He said this is the best West Ham team he's seen since Hurst, Peters, and Morris. Sorry, not Morris. Morris. He and I remember going to different pubs with him, watching us when we were in the championship, when we had Harewood and Zamora and all of the man. And my dad was like, "This is like Sunday League football." And I'm the optimist, so I'm like, "No, it's not. It's like they're playing. But he talks it real. He's like, "No, this is shit." Because he played football. So he's like, "This is shit." And this is like the first time I've heard him say, this is the best team he's seen us have in years. And that makes me know that we're on the right path. And to have my father on, I love that. He loved that. We'll do that.
That's the one. Because I'll tell you what, Pete.
We need to get him on.
He's like, he's true East London, man. All my family's East London, dog. But he's true East London, drinking at the cherry tree and thing. Oh my days, you don't even know. You don't even know, man. My dad was bred. Terry Venables used to pick my dad up in his E-Type Jaguar to go to work, dog. I ain't even playing with you. And he'll show you that. Wow. He'll show you that. Real thing. I ain't even, this one story, my dad will tell it better than I can. But they were playing five-a-side football at some ground. It was just some park in East London, and where I've been. And they just put coats as goal posts and just play five-a-side football. And it was my father, dog. He put England's striker. He was England's striker, but my dad didn't know him, so he's like, "Yeah, you go in goal." He put England's striker in goal, dog. I swear on my life. And then Venables is like, "What are you doing?" He plays for England, and he's like a striker for England. My dad got stories, dog. My dad has stories, man.
He has to come on, Pete.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man.
We want Daddy Peach. No offense to you. No offense to you. You're lovely, and we think the world of you. But
hey, what name do you think I got on the back of this shirt, guy?
On the back of that one?
Yeah, man.
Oh,
JC.
Well,
I saw it earlier.
It what? Joe Cole? Yeah. I've seen that. Yeah, 26.
I know he has. Yeah.
I've seen that in
26.
I've seen that in
That's my favorite player, man. That's my favorite player, man. I love Joe Cole, dog. I think he was the illest, man.
I don't think he was ever at West Ham ever used to his full potential. And I know obviously he became
I think Chelsea really mucked him up, didn't they? Chelsea really mucked him up.
He had a little bit of a sort of period with Mourinho, if I remember rightly, where Mourinho didn't really utilize him, despite the fact he was the one that signed him, or so we believe. But I mean, Joe Cole, he's one of them players. I think he goes probably not. He achieved a lot. Don't get me wrong. You look at his medal haul, and it's like, yeah, okay, great, but I sort of look at Joe Cole and think, actually, he probably should have been more than what he actually ended up being. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. When he came through, he was like he was the next big thing. You know,
Like,
he was going to be the next George Best or Maradona or this.
Oh,
that, and the
no
other.
way, no way, no
He
way,
wasn't.
no,
He never quite hit that
no.
level. Yeah, he never hit that level.
He could have been something close, but
And Pele said, Duke and Gatesy, Pele said that Joe Cole is the only English player he thought could ever play for Brazil because of his flair. And he had that. And you know who else has that? Ben Rama. Ben Rama has that. It's like they're similar in that sense. And I don't know why we didn't put Ben Rama on.
I think
like before we did.
I think trying to play devil's advocate a little bit. I think because
yeah,
is someone that is very, very good with the ball going forwards. Unfortunately, you're playing against a team where you know that they're going to dominate
a lot of the ball,
and you're going to be sort of like having to defend a lot. Defending's not really Ben Rama's game, and I'm not saying
he gets back. So he does get back.
But what I'm saying is
than Anderson does.
Yeah. But does he get? You're going to have to compare him to Fornals now. If it's in terms of his defensive work, in terms of his energy, his pressing, is he as good as Fornals?
Fornals is an improvement on Hayden Mullins. That's all Fornals is. Like, honestly, Fornals is like Hayden Mullins plus. That's what Fornals is.
Whoa! What's up? Okay, listen now. When this goes out, okay. Right, listen. When this goes out, Peach. Now, I did the Gatesy started the Patreon video with Gonzo earlier for the player ratings. Okay.
It was a little bit. It went well. Can I just before you carry on? I'm just going to give my side of the story here. So if Gonzo ever watches this,
what did you do, Gatesy? Gatesy?
What happened was right. Okay, so for those of you that watched the player ratings, the Patreon, and you saw me, and then I disappeared. What happened was I wasn't expecting to be on that. Okay,
your internet was crap.
The same as everybody else. I was going to watch. Normally it's Gio and Gonzo, and they say, "Oh, this player got a 6, and this player got a 5, and this player." And I clicked on the link. It's just Gonzo there, and I'm thinking, okay, fair enough. And obviously Gio's off. He's moved to his new place with his young lady. Great. Yeah. Wish him all the very best.
Gio.
Yeah. And I'm just okay, fine. And I put a little comment in the chat box, and I think I was actually logged on as Forged from Iron rather than as myself. So okay, I put a comment. I just put hi Gonzo. That was it. And he's sort of in the comment, and he's gone, "Oh, is that you, Gatesy?" And I just sort of typed out, "Yes, it is." And then he just turned around out of nowhere, took me completely by surprise, and went, "Oh, I'll get you on." And then he put the StreamYard link on the chat, and I was like, "Ah, right." I went. I'm on my laptop, and my laptop's rubbish. I nearly swore.
It's a poor workman that blames his tools.
I probably can say this word because you said it earlier, didn't you? So okay, my laptop's shit. Okay, my laptop is it was a cheap laptop that I got at the beginning of the lockdown. Okay, didn't spend loads of money on it. I just thought, because the lockdown at that point, I thought, it's only going to be a couple of weeks. Here we are a year later. Anyway, so he puts the thing in the chat, and I thought, oh, well, okay, fuck it. I'll just swore again. We can edit that bit out.
all gone out the window.
Do you know what?
This one is not safe for kids. All right, when
this goes out, I might just mark it as adults only. So whatever. Okay. Sorry. Okay.
So what happened? What happened? Go on. What happened?
So I jumped on, and I thought it was going okay, but then it started to go a little bit pear-shaped, and the laptop started to. And Gonzo said, I think he said at some point that he it was the Wi-Fi, blah blah blah. But it absolutely isn't, because how is it now? And I'm on my PC. It was the laptop. The laptop was just not playing the game. So, you know, so I dropped out. But while I was on, who popped onto the stream?
Me.
There
Hang
you
on
go.
a minute. Who's at the door?
Oh dear. See, now this is.
Get out of it. I'm
this
not
is
doing
what
it again.
happens.
I'm
So
not
like,
turning off
you
the recording.
popped onto the stream like when you were like running your two things.
He jumped on with me for a period, but then my laptop, like I say, it was just basically, you know, not playing the game. It was basically as far as I was about to say, as far as my laptop was concerned, it was doing a Ben Johnson. Okay. It was doing a Ben Johnson. It just wasn't playing the rules.
It was doing the game.
Yeah. So, you know, it is what it is. I mean, I tried to help. Gonzo out. I'll tell you straight. Gonzo's been absolutely brilliant. You know,
Gonzo's such a nice man.
I've sent him behind the scenes. I've actually sent him a couple of emails asking for his opinion, just some constructive criticism on some of the stuff and blah blah blah. And you know what? He's been absolutely top drawer. Absolutely. Top drawer. You know, he could have quite easily turned around and said, "Listen, it's your stream. It's not my problem. Go away." And I'd have gone, "Okay, fine, no problem." But he didn't. You know, he was like, he come back and he sort of said, "Oh, do this, do that, blah 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 blah." And
that's awesome.
Listen, I've only been doing this a couple of weeks. Okay. So if people watch it and think it's not very polished, it's not quite as good as Gonzo and da-da-da. Yeah, I know it's not, but do you know what? Whatever. You know.
I like the rawness.
I'm getting better.
Honestly, I like the rawness, man.
Anyway,
you know what else? Sorry, go on.
No, I'm saying we've kind of gone off topic. So we've started talking about match. We've done the usual thing.
As I was about to say, I'm going to bring it back on topic, okay? I'm going to bring it back on topic.
Go on, you bring it back home. Bring it bring it back home, dog.
So, as I was going to say, you questioned earlier, Peach, about the fact that you didn't understand why you didn't bring on Ben Rama sooner. Now,
yes.
My issue was, and that's why I'm going back to that. I'm going all the way back. I'm going to forget the last 5 minutes of the chat and I'm going back. So, the reason I didn't bring him on, it's a wedge of Peach on this one.
All right, let me work on it.
It's more because Fornals was willing to do the dirty work, if you will. Now, for me, when Ben Rama goes forward, I think Ben Rama, naturally talented, gifted players are, you come across them very rarely. We had one in Joe Cole. We had one in Ravel Morrison. We had one in Dimitri Payet. We had one in Paolo Di Canio. And we've got one again in say Ben Rama. Now, unfortunately for me, in games like today, when your backs are to the wall, you're spending a hell of a lot of time in the game out of possession, and Gatesy will probably back me up on that with a percentage-wise in a minute. But we spent a lot of time out of possession, and I just don't think, no disrespect to Ben Rama, who's a player that is significantly better when we have more of the ball. You know, he can break forward, he can beat one or two players, look up, and he can make a forward pass. Today we didn't have that luxury from anyone. Lingard attempted it once or twice. You know, we saw a lot from Antonio where he was backing into players, using his body as a shield. He kind of defended the ball, incredibly well when we were going forward. Held the ball up and kind of held Walker and at points Cancelo and Stones and DS. He held them off with absolute brute strength. And then he brought the other players into it. But we struggled after that because we had no one further forward once Antonio had held the ball up and laid it off. My only concern with bringing Ben Rama on any earlier than we did was if you sacrifice Fornals, as Gonzo calls him, El Fornicador, if you take him off the pitch, you sacrifice someone who's willing to do the donkey work, a lot more of the darker arts of, chasing back.
The dirty work, right? That makes sense.
Yeah. And I thought Fornals today was absolutely outstanding at that. He made one mistake in the entire game. One mistake. He allowed John Stones, 5 or 6 yards for the second goal, and the goal goes in. Up until that point, I thought we played. I'll tell you what. Up until the first goal, Ben Johnson standing off, giving De Bruyne the opportunity just to make that pass unaffected. It's not like Johnson got close. It's not like we harried him into making a rash pass or a pressure pass. Well, to make that 40-yard run, and here's the key: wrong-footed pass. And I know, Gatesy, you and me have had this conversation about professional footballers shouldn't have a strong and a weaker foot. That was his weaker foot. That was his left foot. And
I know.
Put that on a pinhead for that. That pass was something else. But we made 2 mistakes in that first goal. The first one was Johnson not closing down and putting pressure. I'm not asking him to make a tackle. I know he's been booked. I'm just asking him to get in close and maybe interrupt the flow of play that
press a bit. I get you.
And then the second mistake,
do any sort of intensity. There was no here I am. I'm not sort of getting away too much, and as you say, he hit a beautiful ball with his left peg. Yeah. And
Jude, do you know what I was impressed with? I was impressed with how quiet we kept De Bruyne. Honest, like De Bruyne is probably one of the best footballers in the world, and we kept him quiet today, man.
He couldn't even make the simple passes. Again, like I say, via Twitter, I watched a lot of the live feed from the game with the hashtag, as they, if you go into the search bar, they have that there, and I watched a lot of that, and I had that on the laptop, and I was watching the game on the telly, and I was filtering through, watching it as it all came up, and a lot of the City fans were absolutely berating De Bruyne, and I mean they were awful. Like, they were banging. I don't should have page. They were banging on about how he needs to be simple. I've just noticed that. How they were banging on about the fact that he needs to make the simple passes. Stop trying to dick with stuff. You're no good. You're tired. You're flagging. And that's all they did through the entire first half of the game. And then he finds that pass, that 40. That blonde. They found that 40-yard pass, and we didn't defend it right. Gatesy, you and me have had this conversation. Both Diop and Dawson.
I think it was more Diop, wasn't it? Really,
it was. But like even watching. Sorry to interrupt, but like even watching Manchester City play against us, they play beautiful football, man. Honestly, when I was watching them, it was like they play some beautiful things, man. Like they play beautiful things. My next question is this: Antonio to Jamaica, or Southgate calls him up? What's your say?
I don't think he's getting called up, Peach. I think that boat.
I hope so. Come on, he can play anywhere on the pitch, man.
He can, but there's one problem.
That's what my dad says. My dad says,
do you know what the problem is?
You got
why he won't?
Sterling, Rashford, like he doesn't have a spot, but I'd love to see him on the England setup, man.
I would, but there's a
I
couple of
really
things.
would.
There's a couple of things. Number one, he's 30. Number two, his injury record, and number three, he's a West Ham player. And West Ham players, to get international recognition for England, have to be exceptional.
Well, Declan Rice is the first name on the team sheet, man. And Lingard's going to get there too.
Why, yeah, but that's the reason why, because they are exceptional. Now,
but Antonio's exceptional. I love Mikel Antonio. I think he's so good. I love him,
but
he's an awkward footballer, but he's so
The thing is though, Peach, you look at who's ahead of him in the queue. You've got Harry Kane, you've got Marcus Rashford, you've got Mason Greenwood, you've got Danny Ings, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I mean, he's got to get past all of them. And like I say, you know, he's a West Ham player, and unfortunately,
he's better than all of them.
But how many times have we seen? I mean, 2016, Mark Noble, in my opinion, was in the absolute form of his life and should have gone to the Euros
all day long.
The reason
I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
Mark Noble had been playing the football that he did, and Mark Noble was wearing a Manchester United shirt, a Liverpool shirt, or anything like that, one of the so-called top 6 shirts, do you think he would have gone to that Euros? Because I'll tell you what, I know he would have.
Yeah, he needed to.
And he's never even had a call up, and he never will now. That ship has set sail, and that's fine.
Oh no, that ship has sailed. That ship has sailed.
At the time, I think he was worthy of a call up, and that just proved to me that the West Ham players, because we're not one of the fashionable top 6, our players have to do extra just to get a call up, let alone to actually step foot on the pitch. Mark Noble never even got a call up. He never even got a call up, and he was the under 21 captain.
I know he was when Ravel Morrison and Wilfred Zaha were playing. I know, and you know what bugs me? Like Joe Cole, Alex Ferguson was always calling Redknapp, like, yo, we want your boy Joe. We want your boy Joe. And he never went, which I respect. But he went to Chelsea, and that done did his career in, dog. Like, oh, stop!
Anyway, I'll tell you what I'm going to
do. Man.
Right. Oh, hello. What's this? My hand is up. Is it?
I have a question.
Go for it.
No, right.
I'm sorry, guys. I know.
No, you're right. You're right.
I go off.
Listen, it's what we're here for, Peach. It's what we're here for. We're all in this together. It's like this, Peach. This is what it's like. I want to make a comment on what both of you have just said there. The West Ham players, okay, and this has happened for years. Okay, you can go back to 16, Gatesy, and Mark Noble. I'll go back further, and I'll go back to Scott Parker. I'll go back to Michael Carrick. I'll go back to Jermaine Defoe, and I'll take you Mark Noble in 16 in the Premier League in one of our best ever seasons that we've had, and I'll take that and I'll raise you Championship level Scott Parker, Jermaine Defoe, Michael Carrick. And again, not in the England squad, not only because they played for outside the Premier League, but because they played for West Ham. And for me, Michael Carrick, you and me, Gatesy, you and me have had this conversation in my pub on numerous occasions. And I rank, for me personally, I rank Carrick up there. When people mention Paul Scholes,
100%, 100%.
Premier League, when they talk about Premier League players and they hold Paul Scholes here, they hold him in such high regard. You know, Zinedine Zidane was once asked, "What does it feel like to be the greatest midfielder in football?" When he turns around and he goes, "That's Paul Scholes." Well, I personally think Michael Carrick was on par with the style
On
of
that
play
level,
that
for sure.
Scholes was.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you now, he is the most
Absolutely, man.
underrated player, English player of his position ever to play football in the Premier League.
30 caps.
And I tell you now, he should have had a hell of a lot more, but people overlooked him because of Paul Scholes, because of Frank Lampard, and because of Steven Gerrard. And I'm telling you now, as a player, for breaking up play, for being able to pick a pinpoint pass, and I'm talking
and score goals,
70 yards. He's technically, as a midfielder, what you'd ask for that kind of Declan Rice, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, that kind of player. He was one of the best that I've ever seen play the game. Honest to God, I hold him in such high regard that I'd say you could hold him in the same breath, and I'm going to get absolutely slaughtered when this video goes out. I am going to get absolutely battered by family and by friends because I know it's coming because I've done this before. I hold him in such high regard. He is there when you talk about the big names of Zidane and Raul. And
I love that, dude. I love
everyone
that.
else.
I love that.
Deserves to be up in that list. Anyway, the lineups for today, JC. Tell us about today's game. We're enough of the bollocks. Thanks. Not for kids. Enough of the rubbish.
I love that, man. I love
enough of me and Pete talking about past stuff. Let's talk about today. Gatesy, I believe we played Man City today in a game.
We did, funnily enough.
Tell us about it.
Manchester City made a few changes
from
their game.
Dude. That was real, man. That was real.
They started with Ederson in goal. That was standard. I think when we did the pre-show, I actually got the goalkeeper and 3 of the back 4 right. The one that I got wrong was I had Cancelo at right back, but they had Walker with Stones and Diaz in the middle and Zinchenko on the left. Fernandinho came in as the pivot defensive mid. He then had. Yep.
I like Zinchenko. I think he's a quality left back, man. I like Zinchenko.
I thought Cancelo started and Walker started.
Say again.
I thought Cancelo and Walker started, or was I
They
wrong?
both did. They both did.
If I just quickly have a look.
They both did, didn't they? I thought Cancelo and Walker started.
Walker and Zinchenko, definitely.
Oh, really? Okay.
And Cancelo. Anyway. I think Cancelo started too, dog.
No, bow to your greatness, Gatesy. I bow to your greatness. All right.
No, trust me, I've checked it. It was Fernandinho, Gundogan, and De Bruyne making up the midfield 3, and then front 3 of Torres, Aguero, and
at the back.
Mahrez.
And at the back.
Hang on, wait. Who was that? Who was that player that played just in front of Fernandinho on the left-hand side there? What was his name?
Gundogan.
Zinchenko, no?
Gundogan.
Oh, yeah. I don't like him. He scores too many goals.
No, it's not Gundogan. Don't you
I'm pretty sure
I don't like him. He scores too many goals, dog. I don't like him. If he played for us, I'd love him.
Steve McManaman called him Gundogan earlier. Gundogan,
I'm not saying if anyone watches this and they're from the Liverpool area, let me just clarify. I'm not saying all people from Liverpool are idiots, but I'm saying
we love all of y'all. We love all of y'all. Don't get it twisted. We love all of y'all.
So there you go.
I am.
You are what?
Listen,
Merseyside Kings, man. How you mean, man? Yo, we'll be on the boat still.
Idiots. I've said it.
So that was the Manchester United lineup.
That one. It's the Man City lineup. Don't lie to me.
Yo, so what's gonna go on?
I'll tell you what,
we play Leeds next. What's gonna go
Manchester
on? We
City.
play Leeds next, dog. What's gonna go on? We play Leeds next, and then we play Man United. Then we play Arsenal. Then we play somebody else. Then we play Chelsea. It's like the beginning of the season, like reversed again. Like, yo, we got to do these. Yo, if we do Leeds, if we do Arsenal, United, Chelsea, and all that, man, yo, Gonzo's father is right, dog. Top second.
I think he's
I'm going for top 4. Duke's going for top 3rd. Trust me.
Yeah. So then West Ham.
Burnley lineup.
West. No, behave. So actually,
Yeah.
I've just something out. I'm going to have to hold my hands up. I neglected to change the goalkeeper. Oh dear. It says Fabianski. It wasn't. It was Randolph.
What kind of letdown are you? What kind of We're trying to make this some sort of professional broadcast stuff, and you can't even get the goalkeeper right. Listen, right, I'm going to sack you. I'm going to bring in Peach as my backup, right?
I'm going to blame it on the dog. The dog sort of like pouring at the and it distracted. All right. So yeah, so it says Fabianski. It was Randolph. I wish it was Fabianski because I think, if I'm being honest, I think he might have been the difference today if we'd have had Fabianski.
Oh, big time, 100%, 100%.
We had a back three, back five, whichever way. I think mainly it was a back five, if I'm being honest, because most of the time we were defending. But you know, we had our moments. But it was Cresswell, Dawson, Diop as central three, Johnson on the left, Tufal on the right. You had Declan Rice and Suchek in the middle of the park. Lingard and Ford just behind Michael Antonio. Gentlemen, just a little thing to ponder. Okay, now up to the point that Manchester City scored their first goal, they hadn't had a shot of any description. They had, I believe, and Duke and I discussed it earlier. We weren't too sure whether it was 3 or 4 shots that we'd had, but one or the other. Okay, not many teams are going to restrict Manchester City at home to 0 shots after what was it? 30 minutes. 30 minutes. So 30 minutes that Diaz scored their goal, that was their first shot of any description. There's not many teams that are going to rock up at the Etihad and do that.
No, not at all. I mean, again, we can go back to
Peach's battery's gone. Oh, hang on. Here he comes.
Oh no,
here he is.
He's having a swirly.
I'm going all over the globe, and UFOs. How do you mean we ride clothes? What's up, love? Say what's up to Fort United, Fort Diamond. Come on, what's up, dog?
He's not allowed. He's not allowed to do the physiotherapy center.
It's danger now, dog. It's danger now, dog. I ain't even playing. It is danger now. Danger in the graveyard chamber. Straight up.
Oh, he's off. He's free.
Yo, I got to put on my mask now because I got to go into the dunya, dog. I ain't even playing. I got to get some orange juice and Marmite. Orange juice, Marmite, and something else.
Is this the English?
I love me some Marmite, dog. Straight up, man.
Is this the English shop that I keep hearing Gonzo talking about? Oh, hello. Look at this.
He's gone. No, anyway. I mean, back to what we were saying a minute ago, Gatesy, with the shots and everything else. I mean, I can't, other than, and honestly, other than defensively wise, anyway, the only 2 points I can pick performance was the 2 defensive mistakes that led to the goals. So you can class the Ben Johnson standing off and the Diop not marking the man but marking the ball for the header for the goal. Class that as a defensive mistake, if you will. And
how you mean? How you mean?
And then, the second defensive mistake was Fornell's leaving John Stones unmarked in the box. They're the only 2 defensive mistakes and 2 defensive downsides that I can pretty much pick up in the entire game. I mean, there was one in the first half second half, sorry, when I think it was early in the second half when Diop went kind of recklessly sliding across the surface. Got nowhere near the player at all. They broke into the box, put it across the 6. Oh, I'm on my own. Put it across the 6-yard box, and there was no one there. Other than that, those were the 3 occasions where I felt we were trophy at the back. Going forwards, there was a couple of occasions when Ben Johnson was breaking forward, got to the halfway line, went to play it down the wing, and Antonio, I think, ran infield. And I know Ben Johnson gave him an absolute verbal volley for the lack of movement or the mistake in movement from Antonio. And then in the second half, Lingard did the same thing. He went to play the ball down the wing, and
100, man.
Antonio ran across. I think that might have even been the first half. Antonio ran across from left to right, and Lingard went down the wing. And you could see Lingard threw his arms up in the air, and the body language and everything else. But for me, those two going forward were the two that stood out for me. That was a waste. The three occasions in defence, two led to a goal and one they kind of flashed it across the box. Those for me were the only real complaints, the only really bits that have aggravated me slightly. Other than that, I personally thought, the Twitter pages of the Twitter tweets of David Moyes parking the bus and everything else. I don't think we did that. I think we defended resolutely. I think we defended stoutly. We did everything that was expected of us. I wouldn't say we parked the bus because we still tried to get out. We still tried to break forward. We tried to get the ball into Antonio's feet for him to hold up, etc., etc. So, other than like I say, the three occasions defensively that I felt, we lacked in. We switched off, if you will, and those couple of things going forward, Ben Johnson and Lingard for Antonio. Other than that, I thought we played some bloody good football. I think we can come away from it heads held high. As I said to you at the start of the video, I kind of had that dejected yet proud feeling of, I'm not quite sure how I'm meant to feel. I want to feel pissed off because we've lost. Because I want to win every game now. We're in that Champions League spot, and this gives Chelsea and Liverpool the chance of closing that gap again. But I feel proud that Christ, them boys went out there and did a job today. I thought they were superb. Gatesy, I know me and Peach have rabbited on. I know you said you just wanted to press buttons and shit, but honestly, mate, like we were talking earlier. Tell me, like, I can't be the only one feeling like I'm feeling, and I know people watching this will probably come back and feel the same. No,
listen, we are playing against one of the two best teams, in my opinion, in the world. Yeah, it's between Manchester City and Bayern Munich right now as the two best teams in the world. Now, which one of those two teams is number one? I think we might find out in the Champions League final. But we played one of the two best teams in Europe.
I think this is City. Yeah.
We've played the best team in England. They're going to win the Premier League. The only way they're not going to win the Premier League is if they implode. And I don't believe for 1 minute that they will. Now, am I happy with a defeat? No, I am never, ever.
But I'm happy with the performance. The performance.
That's just what I was going to say, Pete. Am I happy with a defeat? I can never, ever be happy with a defeat. No, that completely goes against the grain. Am I happy with the performance? 100%. Now, let's just put some meat on the bone, shall we? We had 36% possession, right? We had only one shot less than Manchester City did in the entire match. We had 9, they had 10. We had equal amount of shots on target. Now, if we did that with 36% possession, what would we have done if we'd have actually had parity as far as possession is concerned? Who knows? What would have happened if Fabianski hadn't have injured his elbow? Again, who knows? But it's those fine margins, it's the defensive lapse, Johnson getting the booking, which then meant that from that point onwards, he's treading on eggshells. He can't close down De Bruyne for the first goal. Yeah. The second goal, I
Absolutely,
completely get that. You know, that was slightly different. The second goal, he's in the box. Even if he wasn't on the yellow, if he puts a challenge in there, he's probably giving a penalty away anyway. So I kind of understand that maybe that you kind of got to give him a little bit of leeway for that. But the first goal, he couldn't close De Bruyne down, because if he'd have gone flying in and caught him, and De Bruyne goes down and starts doing the dying swan act, he's getting a second yellow. We're down to 10 men, and you know, for an hour. So he'll learn from that. I mean, I think, if being brutally honest, I think he was our Achilles heel. Yeah, he was,
and that's unfortunate for someone so young.
Yes, I don't want to dig the kid out.
Yeah,
but the fact is, he was a big part of the reason why we lost. I'm not going to say he's the reason why he lost, but he was an ingredient. He was a vital ingredient in us not getting a more positive result. I think if Fabianski played, I think he's probably going to do better with that first goal. But for me, Darren, I know you turn around and say, yeah, but he was let down by the cross being brought in, and the centre back losing.
He may well have come for it.
I think he may have done better, because for me, Darren Randolph, when the ball's coming towards him, he's just sort of thing. It's sort of like a wet lettuce.
It's like Calamity James, man.
Yeah,
I think Calamity James, man, straight up.
Yeah, I think the form that Fabianski's been in these last few games, I think he would have given us a better chance. But listen, it is what it is. The performance, I'm more than happy with. Yeah. If we can play with that sort of drive, determination, the courage, but we can have a little bit more going forward, a little bit more of the ball, sharpen up on our, because our passing still seems to be a little bit off to me. I don't know about you guys, but there's still too many balls that are just being a little bit wayward. I think because when we was on the WhatsApp earlier, Duke, and you said about there was a ball that Johnson played. I think it was before the booking. I think I might be right. He played the ball forward to Antonio. And as I said to you, it was kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Yeah, Johnson gave the ball away, but he was waiting for Antonio to make the move into space, and he didn't. And it probably was worse than it looked. But I have a hard time giving anything other than praise in defeat in this one. Because, as I say, we're up against a world-class team, and we're doing fantastically well. But I can't say hand on heart that at the minute, are we a world-class team? No, we're not operating on that level. That's not a battle that we're fighting. Okay, now,
but to hold our own against world-class teams, I think it's impressive from where we sit. Yeah.
What did we hold our own? Yeah, I mean, and Pep came out after the game, and he's given us plaudits. Now, I don't think Pep Guardiola is going to blow smoke up our arse unnecessarily.
No, he doesn't need to, does he?
No, absolutely. And Peach's batteries died. Live television, children. It is what it is. But,
that's all right. We've only really got 7 minutes left anyway, so it's not the end of the world to
whatever.
be.
But listen,
I'm more interested in what's going on in your washing machine or your tumble dryer behind.
That's a tumble dryer. That's
it's got my attention. I'm like this, watching it going round like
and it's a special tumble dryer, actually. Don't you know?
Is it silent? Because I can't hear it. I'm not gonna lie.
Now this is going to be really boring, because obviously.
How do you know this anyway? I'm going to annoy people.
I work in this field. You know I do. I'm a.
Oh right, yeah. Okay. I was just saying you shouldn't know anything about it because you're not a woman.
There you go. But no, it's
a
tumble dryer that doesn't have a heating element, believe it or not. And you've just made that face where you go, how can it not have a heating element, Gatesy? Totally. Do you know basically what it is? It's a dehumidifier with a drum. We're now on kitchen appliance watch, gentlemen and ladies.
I don't care.
Listen, anyone tuning in, we are very random. Every now and again, we'll go off on a tangent and we'll start talking about tumble dryers or sausages. And
listen, you're doing this in your bloody dining room. What do you want from me? Seriously. It's not what you got, it's more going on behind the screen and in front of the camera, trust me. Just as a quick note, Villa have just picked up a win.
Have
They've
they?
just beaten Leeds. Yeah, they just beat Leeds 1-0.
And of course, who do we play next week on the Monday?
Yeah.
I think the thing for me for Leeds, do you know who they remind me kind of?
Go on.
Newcastle in the mid-90s under Keegan. I think they're very, very good going forwards, but you can get at them, and they're very naive defensively.
That was going to be my kicker there. They frustrate me as a neutral to watch a game of football. Part of me really pulls for Leeds. You know, you go back to the team donkeys ago that we were in the Champions League and they were playing Barcelona at Ellen Road and things like that. And you kind of look at the way that they fell away and how they really struggled, a bit like Man City before pre.
But they basically spent money they didn't have, didn't they? I mean, they bought like Rio Ferdinand,
from us and everything else. They kind of lived on that, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, they spent money they didn't have, and they did it on the fact that they were going to qualify for Champions League and next season. But then when they didn't qualify for the Champions League,
can you say Arsenal?
Yeah, I think you can.
You know, that for me is how that's what screams there as you say that. But I pull for Leeds in the same way, in a sense. I used to pull for Man City pre-oil money because their fans are like ours. They are very stalwart. They are very
working class sort of
colour orientated. Yeah, you know, we are there from day one. You know, when we kiss this badge for a reason. When we do the Irons Cross, we do the Irons Cross for a reason. It's not that we're doing it to placate others around us. You know, I remember watching Diafra Sacco and who was the other? Who was the Faustino Asprilla wannabe? Yeah, that's the one. Faustino Asprilla wannabe. When you watch them, Valencia scored against, I think it was Hull, wasn't it?
I've done that for you, Duke.
What's this? That's better. Thank you.
Okay, there we go.
He slid in after scoring the goal and he gave it the old iron sign, and I kind of bought into it, going, "Love this guy." Lingard did it last week. Now, I'm not going to say Lingard did it to placate the fans. I did it because I believe Lingard believes he is part of what we're trying to achieve here. And that's why he did it. Now, you could, us fans, we get behind the team, and to say we bleed claret and blue is what it is. But Leeds fans are the same. You know, City had the highest attendances in Division, what was the old Division 2 before Premier League came.
The third tier. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, or even Division 3, wasn't it, when they were down there at some point? They had Main Road had the biggest attendances. They were still getting like 35, 40,000 fans in Division 3 at the time, you know. So we've been fans that have always stuck behind the club, and I kind of watch Leeds as a neutral, and I'm kind of going, please learn how to defend. Not next week.
Not against us.
I won't be saying that next week, but I am. It's the same with City. Like, you go back a few years ago with City, it was you look amazing going forward. And the same with Leeds this year. You look amazing.
Well, again, that was probably under the Kevin Keegan, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there's probably a connection there with the Newcastle team that I mentioned.
You know, and you look at it and you're like, come on, learn how to defend, and you'll do a job, because you want to. You feel for their fans. You know, in the same way, I think. This whole thing when City got the financial fair play thing that happened.
The European,
and then they got it overturned, didn't they?
Do you think? And I mean, I'm not saying this did happen. So if there's anyone watching that's illegal, Eagle, I'm just saying, I'm asking a question. I'm not stating a fact. I'm just asking. Do you think there might have been some brown envelopes that?
I'm not going to say yes or no.
Allegedly, Your Honour.
But of the clubs in the Premier League that were asked to vote for or against the punishment that Man City received, West Ham were one of only a couple that voted in favour of City in all of this. And I know this because, again, I go backwards and forwards on Twitter with a lot of City fans, and today it was quite apparent. And West Ham were one of, I think, maybe one or two clubs in the Premier League at the time when all this was about that supported City in all of this. And although they were then found guilty by votes of Premier League teams, you know, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Spurs, Arsenal, they all voted against them. West Ham voted for Man City. Then they took it to the Court of Arbitration, Sports Arbitration, and they won. So they were allowed back in Europe and whatever. But Man City fans remember that. They remember the fact that West Ham were behind their club. I think, if I remember rightly, City only, and I might be wrong, and if anyone watches this video afterwards, please come back, let me know. My handle's been on the video all the time, so if you want to tweet me, hit me up in the inbox, however, whatever, I don't care. Comment below the video. But I do believe when City failed the financial fair play, it was the equivalent of me defaulting on a £25 loan to my bank. In the grand scheme of things, it wasn't
putting it into context.
Huge,
can I just say, you say about your Twitter
money.
handle and all the rest of it, yeah?
You got this.
I'm going to go a stage further, and I'm going to say, if anybody's actually sat through this for the last 62 minutes, God help you, number one. But number two, if you've made it this far, and bearing in mind that hopefully we're short to be coming out of this pandemic nonsense, yeah. And if any of you happen to be traveling around the Dartford area and you're getting a little bit thirsty, this fella here, he's got a pub. And it's on the way from Dartford Town Centre to Bluewater. So it's fairly easy to find. It's called The Bull.
Bluewater and come up here and have a beer.
If you're a West Ham fan, come in. In fact, come one, come all. If you're not a West Ham fan, doesn't matter. Okay, Duke will welcome you. Yeah. In fact, my son will welcome you as well.
He probably won't. He'll be in the kitchen.
Well, no, he's a bit of a moody teenager, isn't he? So, and he hasn't had a shave in weeks. He hasn't had a shave in weeks.
Oh, he ain't got a David Bellamy going on, has he?
Yeah, he has. Oh. The old bum fluff revenge. I tell you, it's
Ginger. He goes out in the wind. It's going to blow off his face, isn't it?
I know. I've put that little sign below us because my usual shout out, guys. If any of you have sat through this, thank you very much for listening. There's a young lady by the name of Isla Caton who is not very well, to say the least. She needs some very expensive, very high tech surgery and treatment and all the rest of it. And she's got to go with her family to different parts of the world. It ain't cheap and it ain't easy, especially in a global pandemic. So if any of you have got a couple of quid, even if it is just a quid, they're not going to turn it away. You have got a PayPal link and you have got a Just Giving link, either or, whichever is your preference. Whatever, it will be gratefully received. And thank you very much for giving that some consideration. Thank you very much. Duke, just to finish off, we go to Leeds next. Oh, no, we don't. Leeds come to us. Correction. We have Leeds visiting London Stadium next week. For me, I think if we put in that performance, there's one winner next week. I mean, would you sort of like? I think that I would probably not advocate going as a home team against a team like Leeds. I would probably be looking at going 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3, however you want to set up. I don't think I'd be looking at going this back 3/back 5. I think I'd be sort of trying to go out and go at this lot, because I think they're, as we've said, they're not the best defensively, and I think if we can go at them, I mean, what's your thoughts on a team? If we assume that Fabianski's fit, he goes in the sticks. We'll put Fabianski in.
Right.
Where do we go from there? Back four, back five. What are you thinking?
To be honest with you, I change other than personnel and possible positional changes. I changed nothing, mate. I changed.
You play Johnson again?
No, and that's why I said positional changes, right? So I'd stick with 3 at the back.
Okay.
But I'd put Balbuena in instead of Fredericks.
Okay.
And I'd move Cresswell out.
Hang on. Fredericks.
No, sorry. Balbuena instead of Johnson. Sorry.
Got it.
Or that being said, okay, take that off the table. Thank you.
I can edit it out. It's fine. They'll never know.
So take Johnson out of the team.
Yep.
Move Cresswell back to the left.
Yep.
Because his delivery is just unbelievable.
I think he's the best in the Premier League for chance. We didn't see enough of it today.
Yeah, I didn't see enough of it today, but
he's
not going to do that, is he? No, for me, take Johnson out of the team and push Cressy further out left. Take Soufal and put him into Cressy's position, but shovel the other 2 over. So then Dawson will go right centre back, Diop centre back. Dawson left centre back, Diop centre back, and Soufal as a right centre back out of the 3. Put Fredericks out there as a right wing back. I wouldn't necessarily go with then Fornals. I would stick with the 2 in front of that back 3. Personally,
so you drop Fornals out as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's no disrespect to Fornals. No disrespect to Fornals. But I'd take him out of the equation and just leave then those 5, as in the back 3, Rice and Souček, as your core defensive unit.
Yeah.
I'd then put Antonio, Lingard, and I would probably go with Benrahma / maybe Bowen to give us a little bit more going forward in an attacking role. Whereas Fornals, again, you and me have had this discussion about. I'd love to see the Fornals from the Euros before we bought him. You know,
he was pretty good there. He was pretty
going
good
forward. I think Moyes kind of mashed that out of him a little bit. He's kind of he squeezed it like an orange on a.
He's a number 10, really, isn't he? For me, I think
he has all the talents,
but I don't think he's really played there for any sustained length of time.
We're using him more as that defensive link between. Today was a prime example. The defensive link between Antonio and Lingard and Rice and Souček. He kind of played in that little moldable gap where he went forward and backwards, kind of in that
little pocket.
30-yard pocket that was on the halfway line, maybe literally the centre circle, for want of a better word. He kind of covered that area. If he was going forward, he kind of went no further forward than the curve of the centre circle whilst we were still in the game. But for me, like I say, no disrespect to him. I think he's a fantastic player, and I'd absolutely love him to pieces. I think he can do a job where we need him to. But against teams like Leeds, we need that more attacking threat. And at the moment, I just don't think Fornals has got that. That's been taken out of his game a little bit by Moyes. Whereas, Moyes is now trying to squeeze that out of Benrahma. He's trying to. The comments across Twitter earlier were he's trying to work, until Benrahma understands not to do step overs in stupid positions and lose possession, he's not going to be that starting player. Well, you know what? We couldn't afford him to do step overs and lose possession against Man City. I'm not saying we can afford him to do step overs and lose the ball against Leeds, but the opportunity of him being able to break and the attacking side of his game is more beneficial to us than the chances of him losing the ball. So for me, 3 at the back, two wider players in Cressy and Fredericks. Fredericks, bombing up and down that right wing.
Is he going to be fit? Do you know? Because obviously he didn't make today. Because I didn't realise until late on. Apparently he had a knock. I don't know.
He's got 9 days. And this is how I'm looking at it. He's got 9 days because we don't play until Monday.
Yeah,
true. We don't play until Monday. So he's got 9 days. And I mean, listen, my attitude in the next 6 days might change to how I want us to.
Well, we're in case anyone's watching, we are going to do a pre-match.
Oh yeah, listen.
For the Leeds game, so we're just sort of like throwing it out there. We're just having a little. It's just this is guys is just the ramblings of two 40-something-year-old blokes. We put it on the channel. This is just two middle-aged men having a little chit chat about the team that they love and support.
Well,
so there you go.
Listen, like we discussed during the week, Rob, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna try and create more of a set content every week. We're gonna, listen. When we started this, it wasn't our intention, was it, to do what we do on a regular basis? Let's not mess around. It wasn't, the preview game for the City game, was it Thursday night?
Yes.
2 hours. Like, seriously, I came off of that chat, and I know we sat here the other day, and I've got it written down on my bit of paper. I think it's in my book. Hang on, it's in my book. Wait. No, that's my Henderson thing. Oh, where's it gone?
I don't think either one of us were popular with our other halves.
There it is. Right. Look, I wrote it down there. There it is. Right. So I wrote it down as to how we're going to set this. So we're already 41 minutes over what I said the preview and the post matches were going to be.
Well, we sort of said 45 minutes, didn't we? Top whack. So we're getting better. It's not quite 2 hours.
No, we're learning. But I mean, listen, as we've mentioned, I mean, I said it to my other half, to Joe, the other day when we came off the chat. I'm at a point now where this is my social life. It sounds really sad, and like, and please don't sob for me. Listen, don't donate money to me. I don't care. This is it. This is what I'd expect to get out of being in a pub, if you will. The likes of you, me. The two Jameses, Peach, Jake, sitting around the table in my pub downstairs, just battering this out over a few beers after a game or whatever. This is
a milkshake in Jake's case, of course.
Or a milkshake for Jake's case. No, you can have a smell of ice. Just won't tell Rich. But this is what this is. This for me, and this is why I quite like it. I'm just sitting there in the chat. You and me came on about 20 minutes. Well, actually, it was probably close to 45 minutes before we record on this broadcast. And we were just sat there chatting, then Pete's joined us, and I quite liked it. It's just, it's something else, I sit in the other room on the Xbox with like my brother and a couple of friends, and it's not the same as just talking this. And especially with you guys, we're kind of all on the same page. Like, the other guys I talk to are coaches, and in fact, the comments that I made about the 2 goals earlier, Gatesy, I told you about, didn't I?
Yes,
I tend to can't win in a situation. I'm looking at it as a West Ham fan against Fulham, and here we are. I've got 2 coaching, one coach and one manager as other West Ham fans, and they're looking at it against Fulham, going, no, I think Fulham's set up really well. And there's me going, yeah, but West Ham. And it frustrated me.
Well, the thing is,
Fulham set up really well and made it hard for us.
For those of you that don't know me, that watches this, I watch it through a couple of different angles. I watch it as a fan.
Shut up.
I watch it as a manager, as a coach, and as a referee, because I've done all of those.
Oh, you used to do that.
Yeah, there's parts of me that I'll be watching a game, especially involving West Ham, and I'll see a referee make a decision, and the fan in me goes nuts. The fan in me literally berates the referee, calls them all the names under the sun, and I go crimson, and the old veins start coming out. And there are times I do the tearing of the shirt, and I give it the old Hogan sort of routine. Then I sort of look and then I try and look at it.
You go,
And then I see it as a referee, and then I go, well, actually, and then I try and sort of like find a little bit of middle ground. So
I think
it is
that's
what it is.
the hard part, isn't it? That's the hard part. I'm just looking at the Newcastle lineup here, actually, against Wolves, and obviously you and I had a conversation the other day about a couple of the Newcastle guys, and I'm gonna log off in a minute after you and me are finished, and I'll sit here with this on the laptop, and just for those that are watching, Lascelles, Shelby, Hayden, and Joe Linton. Just watch those. I'll do a video during the week, but just watch these guys, and then you can.
Can I throw someone in from Newcastle on the wish list?
Yeah, go on.
Martin Dubravka.
No.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Let me escape that and get out of the big screen. Hang on. Let me come out the big screen.
I think he's a good goalkeeper.
That one. Yeah, no, listen, I'm not denying the same as Cardalo. I'd like to point out they're both very good goalkeepers, and I've got a lot of time for both of them outside of associating them as transfer targets for West Ham.
This is bonus content, ladies and gentlemen. This is completely unscripted. Bonus content.
When that live thing in the top corner says 4 hours and 36 minutes, you know we've gone over the top. We were talking earlier, Gatesy, about the ages of our goalkeepers.
Yes, we were.
35 for Fabianski, 33 for Randolph, and 35 for David Martin. Mine's contract out at the end of the season. And I said to you, I'd like to think you mentioned that goalkeepers' prime ages are 30.
Usually, I'd say between 28 and 35 is probably where most goalkeepers are in their prime. Sometimes it's maybe whatever, but yeah.
You can change your mind. It was 30 earlier. So
no, I did say 28. You're misquoting me.
Listen, I quote as I see fit. Okay, I'll make a good politician or a good newspaper reporter.
I've got the end broadcast button here, Mister.
So have I. I just started again. And I mentioned about the fact that I don't want a goalkeeper that's the last 3 or 4 years of his career. I'd like to get a goalkeeper that's on the way up as such, and obviously Henderson, who I've mentioned, 2023, I think he is. So he's literally got leaps and bounds going forward. And Areola at Fulham, I've mentioned in the previous chat video with us, who's 27. Dubravka is 32. So he's at that age where we could. I mean, I hate it, but transfermarket.co.uk. He's worth just shy as of October the 13th. It says here, last updated October 13th. Look, I'll even show you. I haven't got the fancy swapping it all around there. Look, right. He's worth £6.75 million as of like I say, October 13th, 2020. Now, if we went to Newcastle, if they don't get relegated at the end of the season, if we went to Newcastle with a £7 million bid, are they going to say, yeah, take Dubravka? And number one, they're going to go, right.
Where's Mike Ashley?
Well, actually, I'll offer him 70% off of that, like you do at Sports Direct. I met him once when I worked for him.
Was he a prick?
Oh, we got time for a story?
Why not?
All right. So I work for said company. For
hang on, I think you might have told me this once before.
Yeah, I worked for this company.
Carry on.
6 years. Okay, yep. 6 years. I started out as a lowly delivery person, minimum wage, which most companies employ now. I'm not knocking minimum wage. Most companies have to do it to do what they do these days. But I started out as just a generic, 0-hour contract delivery guy, and I worked my way up the ladder, if you will, from that to delivery manager, footwear supervisor to footwear manager, and part of my training for footwear manager was to go to their head office at Shirebrook, just north of Nottingham, if my memory serves me correctly. And we were up there for 3 days, and as managers, there were 16 of us on this course, if I remember rightly. And if I was to tell you, we were treated like staff at the shop. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'd expect to turn up at the head office. I'm getting myself a beer. This is what happens when these carry on. Look, I've got a cupboard full of it.
This is one of the advantages that Duke has over me, because he lives above a pub, in a pub, whichever way you want to look at it. He has got
the spot I'd like to clear out. So we turn up 9 o'clock in the morning at the head office, and the head office and the warehouse was literally behind the shop. So you'd have the shop front. You'd have the shop downstairs, as you know, the footwear department of the clothes, as you know, Sports Direct from Crayford and everywhere else. Yeah. And then the head office and everything else is behind it. And Nike, and it is Nike, by the way, because she's the Greek goddess of victory. Nike.
Is that Nike. Right?
Yes. Listen.
So now I've got to go out on a bikey ride. Is that right?
No. It's still bike, but her name. It's a bit like Aphrodite. The Greek goddess Aphrodite.
Oh, I'll let you have that.
Nike is the same thing. Okay, so Nike was the Greek goddess of victory, which is why it's called Nike and not Nike.
I'll let you have that.
Okay, listen. I've done all that. I was a running guru for Sports Direct. Trust me when I tell you, if you need running shoes,
I'm gonna bow to your superior knowledge.
I did all of this. So I went up to this head office, and like I say, 9 o'clock in the morning, we're doing all of the training stuff. And then when we get to 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night, we're still there. And then they go to us, right, the shop shuts at 8:30. And we expect you guys, the 16 managers that are there doing the training, to now go down and close the footwear department down to make sure everything is faced up, stocked up correctly. We're managers. Why, you've got monkeys that do this without being rude. This is what you've got. I was a monkey. Listen, I was a monkey once that the managers
get the cretins to do it.
Basically, I was a cretin once, so I know, been there, done that. But we were treated like that by the hierarchy there. So on one of the days that we're there, we're queuing up, and we had our lunch paid for in the canteens, which is part of the warehouse. The warehouse, by the way, is so big that you could lay the Empire State Building down, and end to end is how big it is.
Really?
You could then lay the Statue of Liberty down next to it, and that's how wide it is. Okay, wow. That's how big this warehouse is. Okay, so quick story on that one. A well-known sports brand turned up and told my cashier that they were going to take all of their sports clothing out of Sports Direct shops. They weren't going to let them sell it because, to quote this sports company, they said, "Your shops are like a boot fair," and we don't agree with it. And Mike actually went, "I don't care. We're going to pull all our products out of your shop." And Mike went, "Knock yourself out. See those 13 containers at the end, the shipping containers at the end of the warehouse, 13 of them stacked up. I'm going to open them up, and whatever you take out of my business, I'm going to put in. That's what I'm going to do. So knock yourself out. Take all of your Adidas clothing. Sorry, generic clothing out of our business." I didn't say
other brands are available.
Adidas. Take all of that.
Allegedly.
No, it's true because I was there. Take it all.
Yeah, but I wasn't. I don't want to get in trouble.
Right, take it all out of the shop. I'm going to use what's in those shipping containers.
Yeah.
So the executives from said German sportswear company walked away. not Puma. And Puma's brother, in fact, Rudy Dassler, the brother, they went away, met up in a conference room for about an hour, came back and went, okay, Mike, we're sorry. You can keep our product. All we ask is the newer stuff, the stuff that's released in the year that you're selling it, you don't discount. So you sell the tracksuit bottoms at £49 rather than 70% off, whatever. So Mike Ashley went, yeah, all right, then, fair enough, no problem. Just out of curiosity, Mike, what's in the shipping containers? Mike Ashley replied, I don't know, I've not opened them. So, so along with the representatives from said German sporting company, sportswear company, not Puma, they went down and they opened. Yeah, exactly. They opened the 13 containers that Mike had bought. Rumor has it, and I'll say rumor. I can't guarantee this, but rumor has it he bought each container at £1,000 each. So that's £13,000 at the end of his warehouse that is not even opened. Okay, that's just money, right? 13 grand.
He's a multi-billionaire. So what's 13 grand?
Huh?
I say he's a multi-billionaire. What's 13 grand?
Yeah.
You know,
so they
probably wipes his ass with it.
I have got so many stories on this. But anyway, they walked down the end and they opened the 13 containers. What do you believe, Mr. Gates, were in those 13 containers that he opened at the end of his warehouse?
I'm guessing it wasn't dildos.
Nope. He certainly didn't get them from our owners. They were woks. Chinese cooking woks. Okay.
What, in all 13 of these storage containers?
I shit
all
you
of them?
not. I shit
woks?
you not. £13,000 in containers. Each container contained 10,000 woks.
I'm fairly sure on the occasions I've been to Sports Direct, I don't think I've ever seen woks for sale.
No, and you wouldn't, because you know what he did with those 10,000 woks per container.
Did he sell them Del Boy?
130,000 woks, Mr. Gates. 10,000 woks per container. 130,000 woks. Okay,
that's a lot of stir fries.
He bought those containers at £1,000 each, Mr. Gates. He sold each wok to a high street supermarket brand, a high-end supermarket brand, for £1 a wok.
Money goes to money.
And then that supermarket brand sold those woks for £5 each, £4.99. He made 97. No, he wouldn't have done. Would he? Would have made £117,000 profit.
Very nice.
On those containers. You could add that to the fact that back when I worked for them as a delivery manager, a certain gentleman in the UK bought something like 400 containers, shipping containers, an entire ship of YSL branded clothing, as in Yves Saint Laurent.
Yeah.
He bought that. I can't tell you how much he paid for it because I don't know, but the rumor was it was in the region of about 750 quid per container. Okay. Mike got wind that the gentleman that bought and this is all conjecture, got wind that this gentleman had bought those, but didn't have the license to sell Yves Saint Laurent clothing in the United Kingdom.
Oh dear.
So Mike went and got said license to sell YSL clothing in the United Kingdom, and then bought each of those containers for £1,000. So the gentleman that had bought those containers had made, £250 per container profit. Yeah, I personally estimate that he probably made in the region of about £2.5 million profit from those containers, because they contained shoes, pants, socks, t-shirts, shirts, polo shirts, belts.
Say what you want about this fella, but he knows how to make a few, Bob, doesn't he?
I'll tell you now. Listen, right. I met this guy at Sports Direct, Shirebrook Warehouse. As I say, the 16 of us, we were there. We were queuing up to get breakfast one morning at 10:30, and I was first in line. A young lady behind me, I believe her name was Michelle, if I remember rightly, and behind her was Mike Ashley. And he's a lump. Let's not fuck about it. He's a big fella. And I asked the young girl behind me to go pick me up a yogurt from the refrigerated counter just off the checkout bit, because we got prepaid cards that obviously we could use to swipe for our food, and it was all accounted for. So she's got her tray. I've got my tray on the counter. It's being all run through. She's turned round and she's walked slap bang into Mike Ashley, who's holding his tray like this.
Oh dear.
With his breakfast on it, which contained bacon, eggs.
I was going to say, I don't think he'd be going for a bowl of cornflakes somehow. He doesn't look like a cornflake sort of guy.
Hash browns, beans.
Now here's the thing. I love a full English, but I can never go chips with it.
Fries. If we're going to go, come to the pub, I'll cook you breakfast. When we open, I'll do you one with fries, right? So he's got his tray, and his tray went... excuse the plug there of the company. And it all went down his pristine white shirt that he was wearing. He's in jeans. Okay. Yeah. He's in a pair of YSL
trainers,
slip-on shoes. They were like brogues. You know, the ones that used to have the tassels. Yeah. He had a pair of them on, and he had a YSL shirt on, right?
Oh dear.
Button-up shirt. And we're pissing ourselves laughing when we were sitting because he's dressed in this YSL clothing. He walks off, right? He goes to the young girl, don't worry about it, darling. I'll go get myself another shirt, right? As he's walking out, he's unbuttoning his shirt because where the canteen was, it was part of the warehouse.
Right.
So we had to walk through this warehouse to go to the canteen. As he's walking out the canteen, he's unbuttoning his shirt, takes it off, puts it in the bin by the door, and walks into the warehouse topless. And listen, I ain't no pretty sight when I'm walking around topless, and I'm not big. Anyway, he walks off into the warehouse. Literally, when I say to you about 8 minutes later, he walks back into the canteen in a pristine white, still creased in the places where it's been folded in the plastic, YSL shirt, pristine white, unironed. You can still see the creases. I'm pretty sure if I'd reached under his collar, I would have taken out the
probably got the tags.
You know, and on it, like.
Do you know how much problems those fucking things cause me as a washing machine engineer?
Oh, I can imagine. They cause me no end of damage when I try to do an ironing, and they ruin the shirt because you end up going thunk thunk, and you end up with that mark down your collar of your shirt where you like. I mean, listen. He knows his business. he started out with one shop, which is still open actually on Oxford Street, and then he bought YSL. No, he didn't. He bought Lonsdale.
He's Lonsdale, yeah.
See, he was really clever. Lonsdale was the first thing he bought as a branding. It was going bankrupt and he bought it. And this is all what I've heard stories wise. He bought Lonsdale first. What sport is Lonsdale associated with in this country?
Boxing, I would suggest.
Yep. So every time there's a boxing match, a fight on telly, what's on in Britain?
Sorry,
what's mentioned? Every time boxing.
The Lonsdale belt. Yep.
So what does he get from that?
Does he get royalties from that?
Of course he does, because he owns the name Lonsdale.
Wow.
Right? What did he do? What did he do? I think it was about. See, I've been out of Sports Direct for 9 years now. I lost my job. Whatever. We'll cover that in another video.
I think you told me about that. I think I remember that.
I lost my job 9 years ago. Just before, in the 6 months previous to me losing my job, what other big boxing label did he pick up? American.
Not Everlast. Yes, he did, didn't he?
So what happens now in America when all the undercard of the American sports have Everlast on their ring pads, or the Lonsdale girls walk around and the Everlast girls walk around? Exactly. So he now covers on both sides of the Atlantic the boxing community.
Wow, he's not a stupid fella. I mean, the Geordies don't like him, and you know, then maybe they've got reason. But I'll tell you what, he knows how to make a few bob.
Oh, listen, I listen. As much as he's vilified in the press as a business owner. And everyone's probably seen a lot of the stuff that went around a few Christmases ago with the illegals that worked at Shirebrook and everything else. I'm not saying anything that wasn't known. Listen, when we take someone here at Green King within my pub, and you know this because with George, it's national insurance number, it's proof of legality to work in this country. They kind of overlooked a lot of that there, especially at the warehouse, when you've got a warehouse that is as long as the Empire State Building is tall and as wide as they are, two of them. There's a lot of people that's going to work in these warehouses, and a lot of them didn't speak English when I worked for Sports Direct, and there was a lot of them there. And as much as he's been vilified for his working practices as a businessman, honestly, the cojones on this guy, honestly, to be able
he couldn't care less, could he?
No, he couldn't.
That's the way he comes across to me. He just comes across as someone that couldn't give a shit if he upsets you. If he's making a few quid, the end justifies the means.
He went to a meeting, which was apparently about half an hour away by car from the head office, on the day that I met him and sat down, and he was part of the introductory group for the managers, and he spoke to us for whatever reason. He didn't really mean anything in the grand scheme of things, but he had a meeting to go to 35 minutes away by car, and there was him and his managing director of Sports Direct. Don't ask me, 10 years down the line, don't ask me who it was. There was two others that were going with him, and Mike walks out of our meeting and goes to his helicopter, jumps in his helicopter at the helipad just off the back of the head office at the shop where we were, gets in his helicopter and pisses off to the meeting. And in 15 minutes, he's at the meeting because it's as straight as the crow flies, obviously, in the helicopter. Yeah, the two people that were with him had to drive their own cars and pay for petrol.
Oh.
And then drive back to the head offices at Shirebrook because... listen, this is nothing to do with West Ham, and I'm loving it. But that's the sort of person you're looking at. He got in his helicopter, went to a meeting that he was expecting 2 of his other executives to turn up at. He left them to drive their cars on their own petrol to this meeting 35 minutes away, while he hopped in his helicopter and went.
He probably told him off for being late as well.
Listen, I wouldn't doubt it. As
what
I say,
took you so long?
Met the guy a couple of times, so I fully understand where, like I say, the Newcastle fans come from. But I've also got to say, on the back end of that, Newcastle fans think that they've got it rough with him in charge. At least to a certain degree over the years, he has certainly backed managers that have come in with some sort of transfer kitting. I mean, our guys, what was it, up until was it something like £6 million net spend that we've had as West Ham? You know, he has backed his club. You know, I know you mentioned when I mentioned Joe Linton, and they've also got, is it Almiron? You know, you look at these guys, but he spent money on this.
We was in for him, wasn't we? We was in for Almiron when Pellegrini was in.
It's not like he hasn't tried to back them. Okay, he's run it like a shit show. He has. You know, you had Dennis Wise, and you had, I think, one of the guys that was chief executive there or something was also one of the chief executives at Sports Direct.
Yes.
When I was there at one point. Not Duxbury. He was with us, wasn't he, at one point? That was Scott Duxbury at West Ham. I'll have to look into it.
Not, what was it? Chris Mort? Was that the fella?
That was Mort, right?
Yeah.
Story on one of them guys.
We could actually hit the 2-hour mark here. You know,
I'm going to be off for this before 45, right? I promise you.
Okay.
When Dave Whelan was selling JJB,
yep,
Mike Ashley paid one of his associates. I will get the name for you privately between us at some point. He paid him £1,000 a day to sit in the offices, head office of JJB,
right,
in the reception area of Dave Whelan's office,
right,
and every hour sent whoever it was into Dave Whelan's receptionist to increase his offer for JJB by £1 every hour, and he paid him £1,000 a day for over 2 weeks to sit in the offices of JJB, to go in and every hour offer him £1 more to buy JJB. It might have been longer as a set. We might have even been looking at 8 weeks, 9 weeks, whatever. But every hour he'd say to him, right, now go in and offer him, you know, £981,001. Now go in and offer him £981,000.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Do you remember when Luis Suarez was at Liverpool, and it came out that he had a £40 million release clause in his contract?
Yes.
And Arsenal went in and offered £40,000,001.
Yeah, that you know what? I laughed at that point when that came out and that was made public knowledge. I laughed at that because that's what it reminded me of.
Wow, incredible!
I'll have to find out the name of who it was and
send me a WhatsApp, because I think I'm now.
God, it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing that's how it was. That's the sort of person that he is. That's how we went about it.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying with us.
Listen,
this has been the Mike Ashley show.
Well, the last half hour has been, isn't it?
As usual, please comment in the section below the video on YouTube. Please like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the bell icon, and you will be notified of any new content as and when it's uploaded by Duke or myself.
May I come in with one more before we leave?
Fire away.
I just want to do this. You've covered it already tonight.
I have. Why not? Why not?
I'm going to do it again. I can't bang on about this with yourself enough.
No, absolutely not.
You've got kids. I've got kids. My 6-year-old's just stuck his head through the door actually to say goodnight to me. My 16-year-old daughter's behind me in the room, in her bedroom. I'd do anything for my kids in the same way that I know damn well everyone else on this planet would do anything for their kids. And if it meant that we had to, you know, swim rivers and climb mountains for our kids, we'd go ahead and do it. Isla Caton, they're not asking for you to climb mountains and swim seas and everything else and run marathons. They're asking for £1. Now, Rob, you said it the other day. 55,000 season ticket holders at the club. If we all went in with £1, that's an amazing amount of money. If we went £1 a month, just out of our wages or whatever. And listen, I know everyone's at a situation where we're at. A lot of us are at 80%. You know, I'm certainly furloughed. My partner and everyone else has been furloughed. So I fully understand that we're in a situation where money's a little bit tight, money's a little bit of an issue in certain degrees, but we're talking £1, guys. We're talking £1, and if you can donate £1 via the PayPal that's on the screen here, if you can help this family out, it's going to go a long way to helping and doing part of it. I know certainly that I've done my part. I guarantee Rob's done his, and I know thousands of others have already done it. But all we're asking is just £1 more, guys. Really.
I've actually had the video that I put out, not Friday, just gone the Friday before. This is absolute truth. I've had people coming up to me in the street asking me.
Oh, really?
Seriously, asking me how can I? And I've just said, look, it's in the link underneath. But if you give me your number, I'll send you. Listen. Whatever people can do, it's so much appreciated. This little girl, she's very, very ill, and the treatment she needs, she cannot get in this country, guys. And if you think your life is tough, trust me, this family is going through absolute hell on earth right now. And £1 literally to you, it won't mean a thing. If you have £1 less in your pocket, it won't make a dent. But I tell you what, if all of us club together and all those pounds can help this family out, unbelievably.
When we come back round, and I'm kind of hoping, obviously, as you all know, I run a pub. Once we get round all of this, and once we come back to the other side of hopefully June 21st. Ready for the last England game of the group game of the Euros. Rob and I have already discussed that we'd love to be able to do something for Isla and her family within the pub. I know that Gio and Gonzo want to be part of that at Hammer's Chat. I know that Jake at West Ham Unofficial wants to be part of that. I know Russ Budden at My Hammers 11 has already offered some advice and everything else that we can do. So I certainly know that these guys are willing to get on board. So what I will say is I will commit to once we get to reopen, and hopefully that first weekend that we're open without all the restrictions, that first weekend where we can do everything else that we're allowed to do, that first weekend, I'm going to put something on for Isla, put something on for her family where we can do something within the pub. Even if we only raise £200-300, it's still £200-300 that obviously goes to this family and ticks off just a little bit more of that box that they need to sort out. So if any of you are watching, like I say, you can see all the links below. You can see the Twitter handles and everything else. Isla's Army, Baz there at the BATV, Isla's Fight. You've got Roger there as well. The PayPal. It's all part. It's neuroblastoma that Isla's got. It's it's heartbreaking. Everything else.
Just for anybody that's watching, and I don't know whether I've ever told you this one, Duke. This actually resonates with me quite on a personal level. I've got a friend. His name's Warren, and as I said earlier, I'm a qualified football coach, and when I was doing the coaching for my two sons' team, obviously one of them, Warren was a football coach, and I got very friendly with him. And at the time, his daughter was very, very sick with neuroblastoma.
Yeah.
And he was trying very hard to raise the funds to save his daughter's life. And I wish that the outcome could have been better, but unfortunately it didn't end well. His daughter, I believe, fought it for, I believe, the best part of 5 years on and off. And when she passed on, I think she was 9. Now that's no age.
No.
I'm a father of a 13-year-old. I know your daughter's 16, and I just think to myself, my God, if I'd have lost my daughter at 9, my life would have just been, well, I don't know. I can't put it into words. So, you know, it resonates with me on 2 levels, because on the one hand, I'm a father. On the other hand, I've actually seen it up close and personal, and it was horrible to see. You know, I mean, this guy was someone that I had a lot of time for, still do. Got a lot of time for Warren, and yeah, just to see a family going through that and trying to live as normal life, and they've got a son that was a couple of years older as well. So, you know, you're trying to hold down a job, you're trying to be a father to your other child as well, and you're having to deal with a child that is, you know, is living on borrowed time. So, and obviously this is probably going back about 6 years maybe. And I appreciate that, obviously, you know, medical science has moved on and all the rest of it, and hopefully Isla's chances are better for it, but she needs a lot of help. If you're watching this, she needs our help, and I couldn't care less if you've stumbled across this video and you're watching this now. I couldn't care less if you're a Millwall fan. I couldn't care less if you're a Tottenham fan. I couldn't care less if you don't actually care for sport, and you've just some way, somehow stumbled across this at this precise moment in time. If you can help, this family needs you. End of story.
No, listen. As much as we sit here on a regular basis, and we take the piss and we have a laugh and a joke like we do, there are certain things out there that are certainly bigger than any single one of us. And when it comes to children, listen, it's heartbreaking. I've not had to go through any of it personally. I like you. I've known. I've certainly known of others that have learnt of that, have known of that heartbreak. Thankfully, and touch wood, for want of a better word, I certainly don't, and I pray to God that others don't as well. And I certainly pray to God that Isla's family don't have to suffer any longer than they have to, and everything that we can do for Isla and her family to, you know, help raise these monies to get her the treatment that she needs. And you know what? Let's stop dicking around and let's go and do it. You know, you and I. We have fun on this channel. You, me, Peach. I certainly know Peach has been behind this cause as well. So you know what, everyone that's got a PayPal account or not, please go and get on there and please donate and everything else. Let's get this sorted. Let's help Isla out and let's resolve this with a good ending. You know, unlike obviously the story you just told us there, Rob.
Well, I think on that's an appropriate note to end proceedings there, Duke. So I'm going to. Should we go together, or do you want me to kick you off first? How would you?
Just turf me off. Listen, I've had enough already. Listen, this lot have had enough of listening to my
been a pleasure as usual, my friend.
Just turf me out, and I'll see you soon. Take care, guys.
Okay. Well, I'll do the sign out. All right, guys. So as I say, if you can do anything for Isla, that would be very much appreciated. Thank you very much for listening to us two old farts rabbiting on about West Ham and Mike Ashley and various other topics that we've gone off on a tangent on along the way. I hope you've enjoyed it. As usual, like the video, comment on the video or not. It's entirely up to you. It's a free country. Subscribe to the channel or not. It's a free country, but we'd like you to. You know, we're doing this because we want to try and make you all smile. So hit the bell icon, and as soon as we upload any content, you'll be notified. You can follow us at Twitter at False Talk, Facebook False from Iron. I'm Gatesy. That was Duke. We had Peach on earlier, and thank you very much for listening. Only one thing left to say, guys. Onwards to the Leeds game. Pick up the 3 points onto the Champions League. Come on, you Irons.